Well, we survived Thanksgiving here in the United States. We're coming up on Christmas. I'm not much for the holidays. That's honestly because my mom died at Thanksgiving and her birthday was at Christmas. So, but I digress. Although I'm starting to come out of my blue funk, I think this is the first year I've really thought about decorating. Anywho, been thinking about navigating relationships, betrayal in the end times. And I hope this encourages you. So good morning. This is Aunt Beth. Welcome to my lamppost. I have a lot of notes here, but it seems like holidays are an extremely emotional time. And I really wish my life were like a Hallmark movie, where everybody's happy and everybody truly enjoys each other and da da da. But that ain't the case. There's a gap. In England, there's a sign on the subway stations or tube between the train and the platform. It's called Mind the Gap. I got to mind the gap between my expectations and reality. But I figured this is how the Lord has comforted and encouraged me. It's my thought process. So if you're having a rough time with people, and I think all of us are going to have a rough time with people, according to the book, this is how the Lord has comforted me. And I want you to know I had that t-shirt before we start. I've been so wound up from conversations with family and friends that I couldn't sleep till maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's not doing anybody any good. And, I, as a believer, struggle with how is that Christian? How is this this? How is this that? But here's what a few points that I believe the Lord spoke to me, and it works for me. And but you have to do you. First of all, we have to guard our heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the forces of life. That doesn't mean you isolate. Okay. But it does mean discretion. And there is past history. Just because you were like born in the same family, grew up together, or friends that grew up together, and you're still in touch, is not current. That's not the same as current leverage. That does. They may know your garage code to get into the house, but that doesn't give them the right to come in, get the car keys or your bank card. Okay. There's a certain differentiation of privileges. Think of it like you had some privileges are automatic. Okay, your family, your blood, you have the right to call me at 3 in the morning. Some privileges have to be earned, like when you're 16 and you get your driver's license, and that's not a unconditional privilege. Some things have to be earned. Maybe you guys already know this stuff, but I'm just still struggling and thinking through this. I think there's a difference between giving to others and investing in others. Giving is you're giving, you don't really expect anything, and you're giving because of you. Investing is you're helping that person grow, but you expect some sort of a return from it. whether it's to you or they move to a different place of wholeness. Um, both are decisions, whether giving or investing. Hopefully, not based out of greed or that I'm going to feel better by myself, about myself. I don't think that should, their response should determine your joy. You know, the Bible talks about perilous times will come. This is in 2 Timothy chapter 3. Now, this is of believers. Okay, Paul is talking to Timothy about believers. So we tend to think, oh, they're Christian, they'll do the right thing. Not necessarily. It says, but know this, that in the last days perilous times will come. For men, and perilous meaning fierce. For men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, despisers of good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power, and from such people turn away. So just because they're a family or they're believers does not grant them 100% access. Okay? And there's a proverb that says, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. That's Aunt Beth's interpretation. That's Proverbs 26, verses 24 and 25. When he speaks kindly, do not believe him. He's already showed you who he is. Okay? So if you want to say it that way, we have permission from Paul and Solomon to take care of yourself. Don't be played. Don't be naive. There's a difference between being naive and being innocent. But how do we live? How do we navigate the holidays or the rest of your life? Being aware of what's going on. But my joy shouldn't be dependent on somebody else's behavior. So in Paul again, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 5, talks about how you can handle this. Okay. Warn those who are unruly, comfort the faint-hearted, uphold the weak, be patient. See that no one renders evil for evil, but pursue what is good, both for yourself and for all. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, in everything give thanks. Don't quench the spirit and don't despise prophecies, and test all things. So, don't be played. Your joy in yourself is not dependent on others. But you have a responsibility because you are your possession. Honoring God with your possessions, that includes you, to preserve your peace. Because we've talked about before, and peace and presence is the provision and protection of the Lord. But it's not easy to be strong enough to take care of yourself. In the past, I had to stir myself up to almost be emotionally angry enough to have the emotional energy to say no, if that makes sense. So giving isn't the same as taking. Don't let people take from you, but you decide to give. Don't float through the holidays or any other time on autopilot, because we're swimming with sharks. But be alert. Be alert on opportunities to give, to speak the word, to protect and guard your heart. I'm not talking about be alert in order that you can take advantage of someone, but be alert as far as what the Lord is saying to give. It's okay to take care of yourself. That's not selfish. So in these holiday seasons, I think there's a place for discretion. Even moving forward in our lives, I think there's a place for discretion. I would, get so wound up, so upset. And the Father spoke two things to me, really, using the pain of estrangement to pray. Turning something that hurts into something positive. It's a positive trigger to pray. Not Lord get 'em, but we talked before, how would Jesus pray? On seeing the situation from God's perspective with mercy and grace. But the other part is there's a place for discretion. One of the other thing that has been a huge help for me is when I'm talking with others, even if they're friends or family that have known me for a gazillion years. Think of it as strangers chatting on a train. In fact, I have that printed out on a label and taped in front of my iPad. Strangers chatting on a train. We're all on a train ride together. You're responsible for yourself as far as what you pack, what you take. And when you have conversations with people that you don't necessarily know, even if you do know them, the train is a place for discretion. So, what would you share in conversation to a stranger on a train? And that has helped me maintain, sort of protect my heart, not from being open and soft to the Lord and looking for opportunities to give, but I am being discreet without isolating. Even God has boundaries. The around the temple, and then in the courtyard, and then here, and then here, and then the Holy of Holies. And there was criteria to go from one to the other. So as we go into this rest of the holiday season, or as we're even moving forward with our lives in these terrible times, there will be people that betray us. It hurts. There will be people that are unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, brutal, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure, not God. It's okay, and you have the responsibility to protect your heart. So, mind the gap between reality and our hopes. Okay. And remember that you're strangers chatting on a train. And I hope that you have a fabulous day. All God's best.